Measles Madness and CoviFlu revelations. Well, we'll get to that in a moment. But just a quick heads up, guys. I'm doing a bit of a tour in the UK from April 12th. The only thing that's locked down now, and it's the big one, is a rerun of my Southampton Attic Club show. And that's on April the 13th. And the link is down below to book tickets. Cheap at half the price. And I'm going to be going through a whole talk on the latest in health and longevity, and then we'll do a Q&A, and then we're going to switch around to the geopolitics, and I have a lot of new material there. So I've got my recent trip to Dubai and insights from that. We've got the Great Taking, David Rogers Webb, and a lot of new stuff on what's coming down the track. So that's going to be a super show on April 13th coming in Southampton, anyone in the southern England area. And also a really, really special event is happening on April 20th in the Royal Marine Hotel in Dunleary in Dublin. So we've got Asim Malhotra there, who is a fantastic cardiologist, crusader, and he's going to give a great talk, and there'll be Q&A. And also Professor Sharif Sultan, you may not know him, but he was, I think, the president of the Worldwide Federation of Vascular Surgeons. But a couple of years ago, he began to point out that statins were overprescribed, and he took a lot of heat for that, but he was bang on point. So he's going to give a really interesting talk. And the other guys there you'll see in the slide, I'm not as familiar with them, but I hear great things. So I'm going to be MC at that Dublin event. So really looking forward to that, and I'm sure during the day there'll be plenty opportunity for any of you guys who are in the area who come along for chats about stuff that's well beyond cardiology, I guess. And also, key point on the Dublin event, it's going to have CME credits. So any of the doctors, surgeons or medical staff out there, nurses in Ireland who are interested in the cutting edge of health and discussions on the real stuff in health, you're going to really enjoy that conference. So again, the links for both Southampton and Dublin are down below. And now let's get on to what the thumbnail or the title suggested. So a couple of people were asking me about this measles thing, and apparently there's some propaganda, it looks like, coming out in the media. And I said, what, you got a whole Howard Hughes thing going on, hypochondria? Why are you asking about whether you might have had it when you were a kid? And the person said that, oh, well, a guy in his 40s died last week. And I said, yeah, a guy in his 40s died last week falling off the ladder. And that's going to have 0% effect on how much I use ladders in the coming year. What's your point? So I just thought I'd show the graph I grabbed in a nanosecond for him, and I explained to him that measles death rate, like scarlet fever and many, many other communicable diseases, there were problems back in the 20s and 30s and 40s. So they got huge lore as big killers of children, and it was really bad, as you can see here from all the spikes in mortality. And this is about mortality. I mean, you don't care about measles unless there's a bit of mortality going on, right? Or any disease, of course. So you can see here that it fell away to nothing with sanitation and modern, I suppose, foods, ironically, and just cleanliness and all the other stuff that had nothing to do with pharmaceuticals. And then you might wonder, but what about the miracle kind of blanket treatment given to the whole population of children? Well, the thing is that came in here, when the curve was basically merged with the x-axis, you know. Yeah, there's still the occasional mortality that occurs, but it basically has lost all of its teeth and it's irrelevant to the vast majority. And that's when the actual mass medication came in. So a lot of people seem to think the mass medication, and it may have reduced cases or whatever, but I just thought I'd clarify for people in case they're wondering. The curve was on the ground, so it appeared that, like, they raised the Titanic with this miracle, but the reality is the ship had already gone away. It was over the horizon. That's just a fact, and that's just the way it is. So there's no particular anti-V here. It's just, you know, you don't want to be made a fool of either, so you should know your facts. So anyway, that was the madness of how people perceived this measles thing. And the other thing was the COVID data, and I pulled this out from early 21 and I shared it, and I was kicked off a couple of platforms for a while for sharing this government and census data, right? It was all referenced. And I just made an observation of the actual risks and the actual numbers from the government, right? And for under 70s as a group, there's 1 in 7,500 risk. And that's around the risk of death from poisoning from US risk tables. Under 50s as a whole group, there's 1 in 50,000 risk. And that matches the US death tables roughly for risk of death from fire or smoke. We don't run around looking for special suits because we're worried about getting caught in a fire, you know. And under 25s, they would only tell us from the government that there were less than 5. That's what ... means. There were less than 5 in the whole calendar year from this thing. So guessing 3, that's around 1.5 million risk. And that's quarter the risk of death from falling down stairs or ladders. So this is just basic facts, and people may be surprised. In absolutely dreadfully metabolic health destroyed America, it was higher, and the medical service there is catastrophic for the masses. You get higher numbers. But Sweden, if you correct for their demographic, was actually better than Ireland if you corrected for their aged demographic. And they had no lockdowns, no masks, and kids up to 16 in school. And they were less than this. So this was so self-evident. I just thought I'd remind people in this short video that the absurdity of it is just astonishing, you know. And over here, I just noted that these are PCR positive. So, you know, basically, if you fell down the stairs, and we all know this now, and they got a positive test and you died, that is a COVID death. And of course, the people who have profound immune deficiency problems and severe comorbidity and all that, and PCR false positives, yada, yada, yada. So if you actually take all that out, it'll be way lower than these risks. It's hard to say, but I mean way lower. These are multiples higher than the real world risk for a healthy person. And I just pulled out the 50 to 60 group specifically was around 1 in 5,000 just for 50 to 60. But again, with a positive PCR and including all the comorbid and serious disease people. So if you back them out, it just falls into tens of thousands, 1 in tens of thousands. So I just thought that it was a good time to look back and just remind people how self-evidently absurd this whole farce was. So that'll do it, folks. Quite interesting stuff. Just a couple of snippets, and I'm going to keep getting these out there so people are actually aware of the data and are not fooled by the legacy media stream of nonsense that seems to get kind of emanated by a pipeline that's fed into their butt by Pfizer and Merck and WEF or whoever, and then the media just take that and they splat it out into everyone's faces, 24/7 nonsense. So it's very important that myself and many others out there are getting the real data on all the different salient items. So links are down below for Southampton. There's going to be a few more events on between the 12th and the 16th. I might head up north towards Manchester as well. We're having discussions around other venues. So just to let the UK folks know that 12th to 16th, I'm probably going to be spanning on several venues. But Southampton, the Attic Club, that's the anchor one. And of course, Royal Marine Hotel for those in Ireland is going to be a great day. And like I say, I'll be emceeing and introducing speakers and also mingling with the crowd and can answer any or all of your questions, of course. So thanks so much.